All right, so now that we talked about the pros and cons, let's go ahead and talk about some commonly experienced female sexual concerns. Before we get into that, though, I do want to make note that I recognize, I address, and I respect the non binary. I consider myself non binary. But in no way is me talking about female and male to ignore other communities, other identifiers. We are working and updating our knowledge and our services to include every demographic and every identifier. But for now, just bear with me and accept these terms more so anatomically. So, to explain sexual concerns a little bit more, I want to put out there those words are specifically used with intent. Sexual concerns. Now, a lot of people may be aware of the words disorder or dysfunction. They are synonymous, but sexual concerns is a little bit more, it just sounds a little bit more appealing. It doesn't sound as medical. And it's actually really important to start using sexual concerns instead of disorders or dysfunctions because, fun fact, majority of sexual concerns are conditioned. It's because of the lack of education and the lack of communication and knowledge and the shaming and the silence and the taboo view of sensuality. Those are the things that actually cause for a lot of people, most people, to have some type of sexual concern at some point in their life. I've had sexual concerns. I'm getting over sexual concerns. So we all pretty much go through it. Nothing to be ashamed of at all. And 7 times out of 10, 8 times out of, I say 7 times out of 10, it can be remedied very easily, very smooth. Come to me. This is what I do. I help people in their sexual concerns. Now, let's get to the specifics. So, there are 9.5 commonly experienced sexual concerns for females. The first is low or no sexual desire. Pretty self-explanatory. It just means, you don't be horny, or your horniness is lacking in a little bit. And now here's another side note too. For most of these sexual concerns, you may feel like you fit the description, but don't just self-diagnose yourself. The only time that we say as a sex coach that somebody has a sexual concern is if it gives you distress in any way, shape, or form. I cannot tell somebody based off of these symptoms or these experiences, you have a sexual concern. No, you have to come to that decision on your own. If you're completely fine with what you're experiencing or what you're not experiencing, then so be it. Live your happy life and keep doing what you're doing. Now, the only time something should be considered a sexual concern is if you want to change it for you and your life and your relationship. If you're not unhappy with it, just let it ride. Leave it alone. Ain't no point in poking a chicken or whatever the saying is. Now, number 2, pre-orgasmic. Now, the reason why I said there's 9.5 sexual concerns is because pre-orgasmia has 2 different stages. So there's primary and there's secondary. Primary is you've never had an orgasm in your life, solo or with a partner or partners. Secondary is you can get to where you're trying to get by yourself. but you've never been able to, or rarely have been able to, find yourself a release, a sexual release with a partner. This sexual concern also has a very easy fix because, for the most part, females who experience either stage of pre-orgasmia is because they just need the permission to feel pleasure, to feel sexy, to feel wanted, to release, to relax. You know, there's so many messages that have females on edge about their bodies and about their sexual lives that it's hard for us to relax. And relaxation is the number one thing that's needed for pleasure. So for all of these sexual concerns, I do hold my sex coaching sessions to help one-on-one or with a partner in trying to remedy your concerns. And so for this one, a lot of times it's just learning how to relax, learning how to be in your body and not in your mind, or not anywhere else outside of that interaction. 3, it's called dyspareunia, but basically that just means painful sex. Now, this is also a common one. I personally know people who have experienced this. I have even experienced this myself before. And so with this concern, it's that when anything attempts to penetrate you, your vagina, it's painful, whether that's a finger, whether that's a penis or a toy or something else safe and creative. The next sexual concern is vaginismus, which is similar to dyspareunia, except it comes with spasms. So it's painful penetrative sex, except you experience spasms or cramp-like feelings during penetration or during the attempt of penetration. Now that one isn't as easily remedied because that one more likely has medical factors. And so with that, you will have to go see your physician, your gynecologist, and, you know, try to rule out other things before coming to someone like myself, a sex coach. So the next sexual concern worth mentioning is sexual inhibitions or inhibitors. And if you need a definition of that word, inhibitors, it is, you know, to prevent, to harm, to F up, to disturb, you know, whatever word you want to put there, but anything that prevents you from some type of sexual activity, which this term is more of a umbrella term, whether it's comfortably being able to watch porn. I would even consider comfortably talking about sex, especially when it comes to your partner or partners. Having sex, masturbating, fantasizing, everything under the sky. Any type of hindrance or prevention from you being able to indulge comfortably, it's considered sexual inhibition. And there are so many things under the sun that can be the root in the actual manifestation of that inhibitor. And so the next one is actually one that could be a cause of that inhibition, which is body dysphoria issues. That is basically your body image, your self-esteem, your confidence. If you don't feel comfortable in your skin, you don't feel good, you don't feel beautiful, you don't feel cute or handsome or whatever, it's really hard for you to, one, relax, and two, be aroused to experience pleasure. That is what's needed. Arousal is needed before pleasure. So if you're not relaxed enough to get aroused, then it's impossible for you to experience pleasure. And then that also plays into why sex can be painful, and so why your desire may have shot because sex isn't pleasurable. Like it's just all a web, and it's all connected. And like I said, 7 times out of 10 is easily fixed. Just come to me. Now, another that may be surprising on this list is social and dating skills deficit. Now, this is actually really important, more important than you may guess, because it's the same thing as with body dysphoria. If you don't know how to date, if you don't know how to talk to somebody else, if you don't know how to flirt or express desire or feel comfortable enough to go out by yourself to mingle and maybe find, whatever. If you don't feel like you have those skills, or if you don't have those skills, it's impossible for you to feel comfortable in that space. And if you don't feel comfortable in that space, you're going to avoid it. And if you're avoiding going out in these social interactions, how are you going to date? And how are you going to get these dating skills? So that's another thing that I help with, is getting those social and dating skills so that you feel comfortable and confident to go out and have a social and or sexual life. Another general sexual concern is the desire for enhanced pleasure. Now, we kind of touched on that a little bit with these other sexual concerns, and I think it kind of is self-explanatory. But yes, as we know, for women, a lot of us are not experiencing pleasure, especially not in heterosexual relationships. But another thing we can easily remedy, as long as there's no medical issues or factors going on. A note on that point: just because you have some type of medical issue or factor that inhibits certain experiences does not mean it's not possible to have a solution or a remedy. It's just that you need to go to both a sex coach and a medical doctor. And the last one, which is unfortunately all too commonly experienced by females, by women, by femmes, is sexual trauma. And to be honest, sexual trauma is probably like the umbrella, maybe like a second umbrella term, because sexual trauma can really shut you off or even hyperactivate your sexual being in so many ways. But that is our 9.5 sexual concerns commonly experienced by females. And the word females is used very specifically and intently. I really hope that after this video you feel less alone about some of your sexual experiences. Know that it can be remedied, whether that be easy or it may take a little bit of work. There are solutions. I am one of them. Come to me. I will have a link for more information about my services down below. But that's it for today. Share this video and save so you can come back and watch this at any given point in time. But thank y'all for tuning in for our Wet Pussy Wednesday weekly videos here on YouTube. Until next time, Queen wishes you peace, happiness, prosperity, abundance, and pleasure. Peace.